All right, I want to thank you for coming in today. First question I'd like to ask is, what would you like me to call you?
You just call me Chris.
Good deal, Chris. So my name's Nate. I'm a social worker here at the business. I own a private business, and we help people with counseling and referrals and things like that. Okay.
Okay.
What brought you in here today?
Well, I got into a real bad fight with my girlfriend. Um, Things kind of got out of hand, man. It got I didn't beat her up or anything, but it got a little physical. Things got out of control. I had to actually go to court over this, and they referred me here.
Okay. Well, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it. So what were you hoping to get out of this whole conversation that we're having?
Well, I just kind of notice a pattern, and I want to figure out how to keep this from happening. I want to get my life together. My kids live with me, and it's just getting out of hand, man. I need this to not happen anymore.
Gotcha. Okay. So kind of what I'm hearing from you is, you recognize a situation, but you have a desire to, kind of start changing things a little bit.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So for the next question, can you kind of walk me through what happened leading up to this incident?
Yeah. So we got into an argument. I don't even remember what it was about, man. And it just things got out of hand. Um, and it just kept escalating, and we were yelling, hollering at each other, and at one point, I mean, she was. I don't want to make it sound like it's her fault, but she was in my face, and I pushed her away, and she fell down, and I just lost control, man, and we were screaming at each other, and it was just not good.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm kind of hearing, it was intense situation.
Yeah.
All right. So recently, how has the situation affected you since all that's happened?
Well, I mean, it's not the first time. It's probably the worst time, but it's not the first time. And I've just been thinking about it constantly, how is this what I've become? Like I'm stressed out about it all the time. I'm just thinking about okay, so is this just are we gonna have a knockdown drag out every time I forget to unload the dishwasher, or every time she doesn't take the dog out, or I'm just constantly thinking about what's happened previously and what's the next thing going to be.
Yeah, thanks for telling me that. So also what I heard is this isn't the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
It's happened before. Mm-hmm. So since everything has happened with the situation, with the incident, how have you been feeling about yourself since then?
Terrible, man. I mean, I feel like I've just messed everything up. I'm in this relationship with this girl, and we've been together for quite a few years, and things weren't always like this, and I just can't help but blame myself. My dad kind of did stuff with my mom similar to this, and I just feel have I become my dad? I just kind of disappointed in myself, man. I don't understand how this has happened, how my life has become this way.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Chris. We're definitely we're gonna keep talking. We're gonna try to figure something out together. Okay. Another question for you. So you mentioned you did kind of feel like a failure in some ways. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, man. Like I said, me and this girl, we've been together for a few years, and 5 years. And before that, I was in a relationship for 5 years, and I just feel like it's always the same thing. It starts out real good for the first year or two, and then things gradually go downhill. And I'm at the point now where I think okay, is it me? Am I the problem? Because there's no way that I just get a crazy girl every time. I'm sure that I'm playing a part in it, and I know I'm not being the dad that I should be, because I spend all my time either walking on eggshells or stomping on them, getting in these fights. And I don't want to do this anymore. I want to like live a happy, normal life.
Okay. So I can definitely hear your desire to change, and I appreciate you telling me that. Um, so, for yourself, in your own opinion, what role do you feel like you played in the whole situation? What happened?
Well, I feel like that I shouldn't have reacted the way that I did. And I kind of I, I I got mad, like so she kind of said something in this tone of like it sounded like she was talking down to me, and then I kind of like escalated that to I'm gonna talk down on you, like why do you think I'm doing this? And I just had I reacted differently, because in the end, I mean, if we're being honest, she was right. I should have unloaded the dishwasher when she asked me to. I wasn't doing anything, and she was at the store. Um, so I feel like had I reacted differently, and instead of getting mad and putting myself first, maybe if I'd put her first or us first, that it just would have came out differently.
Yeah. So also kind of what I'm hearing from you is you understand that your role that you played in it, which is super important, Chris. That's a big step with kind of moving towards a different direction. It's understanding the part that we all played. Okay. So looking back at the incident or even previous incidents that are similar to this, what do you wish that you would have done differently in those situations?
I wish I would have, instead of like blowing up and just getting really mad, I wish I would have just walked away for a second and been like, hey, can I have a second here? Like, I don't want to. I'm mad. I don't even really know why I'm so mad, but like I'm mad. It's almost like I'm just so disappointed in myself because I knew that I should have, done this simple task. Um, that I should have walked away sooner, and I should have just never let it go that far. I should have kept myself under a little bit of control, and not let my emotions run rampant.
Yeah, believe it or not, you've already mentioned a coping strategy. Kind of walking away from a situation. They say simple things like just taking a walk. Getting some water in a sink and just kind of putting it on your face. So that's good that you recognize that definitely. Um, so I know we kind of touched on this a little bit, but so you've noticed similar patterns in past relationships with the disputes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like every relationship I've been in since I was, probably 20. When I get into an argument with whoever I'm dating at the time, things get heated. They're not always physical, but they're bad. We like yell and scream and it'll carry on. Sometimes for days we won't be cordial with each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's definitely not just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
So, in your own opinion, or your own words, whatever you're comfortable speaking on, what do you think are like the patterns that you see when these things keep going on?
I get defensive really quick. Um, it's like one little kind of, I don't want to say like a backhanded comment, but like an offhanded little comment, and I fly off the handle. I get really mad. I don't handle my stress very well as it is. Um, you know,
Yeah, that's really important to kind of understanding the patterns that we have, leading up to these situations and things. Um, okay, so this is a tough question, and if you're comfortable talking about it, we can. How do you think this situation has affected your children involved?
well, they've seen this a lot. I had my kids kind of young, so they're teenagers, and it's so in their lifetime, I've been with and three long-term relationships, and they've seen this happen a lot. And we fight when they're home, and we're not quiet about it. It's real loud, and I just don't want them. I don't think that they should hear that.
Yeah. So you mentioned, I know before that you kind of seen this with your father before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to hear that. I also had a abusive stepfather in my life too. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you, and you're not alone. You know. So what concerns do you have mostly about the children at this very moment?
I don't want them to grow up and think this is normal. I have boys. I also have a girl, so it's like I don't want I don't want my boys to think that it's okay for them to do this with their wives or whatever, and I don't want my girl to think that it's okay to do this with her husband and to be in physical altercations. It's
Yeah.
not all right. I don't want to mess them up like in the long term. You know, get them in a cycle of abuse.
Yeah. Thank you for talking about that. I know it's not easy when there's children involved in the situation. You said you had three kids, right? A boy, two boys, and a girl. Okay. So, despite all this, the situation, and maybe even, excuse me, past situations, what do you think has helped you get through all of
Well, I just been trying to stay busy, man. If I sit with too much downtime, I kind of dwelling on what happened and what I could have done different. So I've just been trying to keep myself busy. I've been working some overtime at work, and trying to keep the house clean. I've been thinking about my kids a lot. You know, some things that we could do differently together, like as a family. That not that I think I could um, make up for it, but I think that I could, if I could just figure out a way to keep this from happening, that maybe I could like start a new pattern.
it? Okay. So, move on to the next question. So, in your past relationships, any of them, or maybe even the one that you're in right now, or maybe not in, think of a time where things didn't escalate like they did. Maybe the same situation happened, but things didn't escalate. So, kind of what was differently happening in that situation?
Well, there's been times where I have just walked away, like I didn't get so invested in it as if it were like life or death right here, right now, and I did just walk away, and we were able to like come to find out it wasn't that big of a deal, you know, very similar situation, and I was able to just walk away, um, or stay calm even, rather than flying off the handle and getting all my defenses up instantly. I was able to like, you know, look at the situation for what it really is, and in this case, it's just a simple disagreement.
Hmm. So you kind of touched on it a little bit. So I guess the main factor with what were you doing differently at that time was the main thing. Did you feel any different, or was it just you just walked away and more just left the situation?
Um, well, I don't want to say I just walked away, but like I kind of took a step back and like was able to think clearly rather than just have my thoughts overrun because I feel like I've been personally attacked, and that's and that happens a lot. I feel like I'm just being personally attacked, um, but in these times, I was able to see it for like kind of what it was. It was just a simple disagreement. I was able to like just take a step back.
So kind of what I'm hearing from you is you somewhat had a realization that it's not an attack on you personally, but it's more of just a situation, and you were able to see more clearly with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So on a scale from one being the lowest and 10 being the highest, um, where do you feel that you are right now in feeling control of your life? Like, how much do you feel in control of
Probably like a 3 or a 4.
it? All right. And what would moving that point, maybe even just 1 or 2 points higher, what would that kind of look like for you?
Um, well, it would look like for me that the fights that I get involved in wouldn't be so knockdown, drag out. There would be no physicality. Um, I feel like the yelling would come down a lot. I could think a little before I react, so that I don't fly off the handle.
So definitely what I'm hearing is, the physical part of it. That would definitely put it up one point.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Kind of a hypothetical question as well. If you woke up tomorrow and things were better, what would be like the first sign that you would see that things were better?
There would be peace at the house. There wouldn't be any fighting. Nobody's walking on eggshells. Nobody's stomping on eggshells. It would be like a peaceful home, like a normal home.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think your children would notice differently about you specifically if that change happened?
I think that the first thing they would see is probably that I'm more calm and collected, that I have like less stress and tension, and I'm able to, be there for them.
Okay. Do you believe anger is a big
Yeah.
part of these things?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, if there was one small step that you believe you're ready to take today, um, what do you think that would be?
I think it would be to walk away for a second when I get mad rather than fly off the handle. I like what you suggested earlier with splashing water on my face. I think
Mhm.
that's a good strategy.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to try that.
Yeah, you kind of get to knock both out, because in order, usually, it takes walking away to even do that. So, it's kind of knocking um, both of them out at the same time, which would be great. Um, so, what would help you think, starting to make that change?
I think if I had somebody to talk to, and learn to handle my stress and my anger in like a healthier way, rather than taking it out on the ones I love, I think that'd be best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I agree with that as well. Okay, so just to kind of give a summarization of what has happened so far. Um, you know, Maybe the courts, I believe, kind of took you over here, and you had a domestic dispute um, with your girlfriend, with your kids involved, and you are having a desire to change. You see an issue, you see a problem, and not only do you see that problem, which is sometimes hard to do. You have the desire to change, you want to change, and not only are you wanting to change, but we've also discussed small steps you're willing to take. Even as fast as today. Um, so far that's kind of what I've heard. Is there anything else?
No, I really want to work on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we kind of started with that first goal. Maybe we'll just start working on that walking away, maybe splashing water on your face if a situation like this returns, or maybe even if you just start to feel flustered or anger again, we'll just try that. So specifically, what would you like to focus on before we meet again next time?
I want to work. I want to focus on having a little control over my reactions.
Control of the directions. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of put that on the calendar, and for now we're kind of work on just walking away that, and then I'll look up some things and kind of start thinking about topics on control, and we'll meet again next week, and we'll see how things change and how you're doing. Okay. All right. Thanks for coming in, Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate it.